is that no matter how much older and how much wiser we get through our life experiences, as a mother, and I know you'll relate, there's so many things our kids have taught us.
Yes.
That we're like,
Every day.
wow, okay, yeah, right. And so I got goosebumps.
So, other than writing a book, what else do you do?
Well, that's a loaded question.
Yes.
So I'm a multipreneur, and basically what that means is I run two different businesses. I went to school in marketing and branding. I originally wanted to be a vet. I've always been an animal lover and was always one of those students that did really well in school. And so when I went into science in university, it was like, oh dear, I think I passed calculus on a bell curve. And I was like, this is not good because you need really high marks to get into vet school. So I decided to pursue a bunch of different courses, excelled in marketing and branding, and have had a stellar career working for a men's hockey team, a global publishing company. Most women know me, or most people know me from this area as working as manager of development and community relations at our local shelter. But 6 years ago, I had another life-changing moment where we were just plugging along and my husband ended up needing emergency heart surgery and he almost died of complications. And I loved my job at the women's shelter. I'd been there for 10 years. But I always had this burning passion to be an entrepreneur. And I remember when he was literally on his deathbed, it shook me to my core. And I remember thinking, if he pulls through, I'm going to live the life I want and not what everybody expects of me and follow my dreams. And thankfully, I have a happily ever after story there because he pulled through and I made the commitment and I thought, this is it. So I left an amazing job with an amazing boss with very rewarding work to follow my passion of entrepreneurship. So what I did is because I had been doing marketing and branding for all of these other companies and not-for-profits in my life, I knew I could do this for small business, and I love aligning myself with women entrepreneurs. So that's what I do is help build their brands through brand strategy, photography, so we can build these types of connections, kind of exactly like what we're doing here, digitally. But at the same time, I am a storyteller by nature, and I also have a very creative side that I love working with my hands. So I started a gift business at the same time called Say It with Stacey. And I'm extremely excited to say that last year was the largest year I had shipping Canada-wide. So my humble beginnings in Orangeville and the loyalty and support that I've received from my community has helped me elevate my brand to Canadian status. So every day I ship something to Newfoundland, to BC, to even towns I've never even heard of. I have to like literally Google them to think, well, where is that? So I take lots of stories. So for example, say you wanted something for your daughter. I know that she loves to read. She has a passion for Harry Potter. You give me your budget, I can create something custom within that. So it could be shirts, mugs, pencil cases, all kinds of things. And I'm sure you know, there's a lot of other people that do this type of work. The key to success is building a brand. So I've been able to actually tie in my businesses together because I know how to do it. And I feel like although I operate a service-based business through the photography and brand strategy consultation, I take those principles and apply them to a product-based business. And I know it's working because I know I'm doing it. And I've learned a lot of hard knocks along the way, but I've also learned what really works. So I'm very passionate about creating meaningful moments through gifts, through Say It With Stacey, and love, love, love what I do.
Wonderful. Yeah, I've seen your work and I've seen your passion, and I personally know people who worked with you, and you've done an amazing job with them.
Thank you. And you know what? Again, I don't want to use the word feel guilty, but I will use the word feel guilty because I wear my heart on my sleeve and I am who I am, and that's just the way it is. But as you know, we have a lot of like Facebook community forums locally, and every day, I think probably there's not a day that goes by where somebody's looking for a t-shirt or something and my business gets tagged like 20-1 ratio with some of the other businesses. And I sometimes feel bad about that because I don't want to dominate things, but I also know that I've worked really hard and that I follow through, and this is what I do for a living. This isn't a side hustle. I put my heart and soul into the brand. I've invested a lot in my business. I mean, I have a commercial space that I work out of. And I think what I want people to know is that if something doesn't go right, because that does happen in business,
Yeah.
I will fix it. And I've had those situations. And I think when we, again, are aligned in our values and be true to ourselves, and for me, the lost art of customer service in the world is a huge irritation of mine. So I make sure that I try to deliver that in every single thing that I do, even when things go wrong, because it's an opportunity for me to really show who I am as a small business owner.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, there aren't a lot of businesses, a lot of people left who focus on customer service.
And I mean, isn't
Yeah.
that the very foundation? Like,
Yeah.
we all know that, especially in real estate, that relationships are the heart of business and a transaction. That should apply to every single thing we do,
Yes.
including a gift business. Because without those kinds of relationships, you're not getting referrals, you're not getting the loyalty, and you're not getting growth. So I try to take care of my own as best as I can. And I'm really excited to say that I've built a brand based on quality and reputation where I'm not the cheapest. I will never be the cheapest. Being the cheapest is a race to the bottom line because there will always be somebody cheaper than you.
Of course.
So I always make sure that I use quality materials. My packaging is so that it's gift ready. I use expensive gift bags and tissue paper so that when you pick up your gift for your husband, it's ready to give. You don't have to run to the dollar store to get whatever or
Yes.
packaging. I've thought of all the things because I want people to feel that value. And again, I think building that brand around Say It With Stacey has really helped me because I don't get the tire kickers anymore where, you know, people are price shopping, and sometimes I will get that, but I will explain what they're getting. And
Yeah.
it's up to that client or customer to decide if it's worth it for them. And it's the same reason why you can buy a purse at Walmart, at Winners, and Prada.
Yeah.
There's a customer for everybody, so you just need to know who your
That's
customer
right.
is.
And no offense, sometimes people are on a budget and they can't
100%.
afford it.
Yep.
But
But that's why other people exist in
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
business world, and you can't take it personally. But you know, again, I feel very fortunate that I mean, I try to, you know, make sure that I keep my costs down so that I can pass on reasonable costs. But at the same time, I know who I am and I know what I deliver, and I'm proud of that. And it's helped me get to be in business for year 6 and shipping across Canada, which
Yeah.
I'm extremely proud of because I mean, I remember 6 years ago when I was looking at my husband on his deathbed, never again would in a million years would I imagine I'd be here talking about it. So again, it's that message of self-confidence, and trust me, there's lots of times where mine's shaken. I'm human. And being a woman in today's society, I mean, as much as they've come a long way, there's still lots of gender equality or inequality, and I will continue to be an advocate for women. And you know, the 10 years of fundraising at the women's shelter has instilled those values that were already in me, but has given me the confidence to speak about that because I want an equal society for all, women included.
It's wonderful. And I know you exclusively work with women.
Not exclusively, but I really build the brand around that because we've all been in front of the camera.
Yeah.
It's an awkward experience. I'm no different. And every single time, without fail, you know, especially with a new person, they're like, I don't take a good photo. I feel fat. My
hair don't
teeth.
look good.
Yes,
Yeah.
I have heard it all. And one of the things I love working about women, and I will say it kind of shakes me every time, is I'm like, yeah, watch me. And then I'm thinking, oh my God, I got to deliver. But I know I am a woman. I know about angles. I know about.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not even like I can't fix crooked teeth, or sure I can smooth out a little wrinkles, but I do want it to look like you. And smooth some skin. But for me, what it's about is what I call the magic moment, and getting that. Sometimes it takes 5 minutes, sometimes it takes 30. But it's like this moment where somebody just kind of, and that's when the magic happens. And I know I've got it. And I feel like that's my superpower. I'm probably not the best photographer in the world, but I definitely know that that's a superpower of mine and love it.
Absolutely. And you know what? For people who say I have a crooked teeth and I don't want it to come on the camera, well, when you're going around, people see you with that.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. That's always my thing.
Yeah.
But again, there is ways to work around insecurities. And I do ask people, like, if you were a client today, I'd say, so do you usually smile with your teeth? Because if you don't, I'm not going to make you do something that's not you. Because at the end of the day, it needs to feel authentic. But if you, many times the answer is, well, I think so, or I'm not sure, I know with my trained eye what feels genuine and authentic based on the industry you're in. And, because I have worked with many realtors, I do know that friendly, engaging, smiling is so much better than this, because this sends a subliminal body language that you might be closed off, even if you aren't. That's why you need to work with somebody that knows branding and human psychology when it comes to the camera, because it makes all the difference. Very fascinated by neuroscience, and there's so much information out there about why we make the decisions we make based on how our brain perceives things. And it's all these little nuances that people are oblivious to, that can either put your best face forward or somebody will pick somebody else because they've done it.
And your body language also talks more than your words. In a photo, there are no words,
100%.
but your body language says it all.
Yes. Yeah. So the question was, do you work exclusively with women? No, I don't. But I would say my client base is probably 95% women. And the reason being is because I know how vulnerable they are and how awkward they feel, because I can relate. So I want to empower them through the skills that I have to say, you actually are beautiful. You just don't see it, but here's your photos. And even sometimes it's still a little journey to bring them along, because we look at ourselves so critically. But I also know that I can do all the things. And at the end of the day, we need to kind of dig within to also realize beauty is so much more than skin deep.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Right?
that's so well said.
Yeah.
So do you have any stories for us on how you helped women, or how you helped someone come out of their own insecurities? Because sometimes we live in our head.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I'd probably do that almost every day. And it's interesting because after a photo shoot, I'm actually exhausted because I'm so on energetically. I also am very fascinated by, when I say the spiritual world, I do believe that energy is contagious. And actually my son has a story today where he said that there was some incident going on in a Facebook group called Bitch and Complain of Orangeville. And I said, I don't belong to that because I don't want to be around toxic energy. And he's like, but Mom, it's a Facebook group. I said, you get what you put out, and I do not want to be a part of that. So with regards to helping empower women, I think at the end of the day, it's about seeing people for who they are. And so I do a lot of question asking about all kinds of different things, and people don't even realize, like, what does this have to do with a brand photo shoot? But I want to know your golden nuggets. What makes Priya Priya? So, I mean, again, we don't actually even know each other, but I do know that you have children. I do know that you're a real estate agent, but I would ask you all kinds of different things. And out of those conversations, I start finding things about you that you just take for granted that are special. And so I try to bring those out in photography, or if we're working together, say on social media content, because I always go back to the story. If I'm not in the market to buy or sell a house right now, why am I going to follow you on social media?
Yep.
Unless I'm looking for one of those things, I probably don't care. But if Priya is starting to tell me about, her daughter who's just read 8 Harry Potter novels, and she's how old?
she's 10 now, but
10.
she's been reading it ever since she was 8.
So we would find sort of those like stories of, again, the, pride of motherhood and different things like that, because, and then find ways to tell those through your social media content, because again, now I resonate with you. I don't have a 10-year-old daughter, but I feel your heart, I feel your pride. And it's those kinds of things that I think actually end up empowering us to overcome our insecurities, because we stop thinking less about aging wrinkles and all these superficial things, and we get to the heart of what a person is. And also, I think, from a practical standpoint, if we're working together and you said to me, I'm a little insecure about, could be anything, smile, my nose angle, I've heard it all.
Yeah.
If I know that, I will make sure that I'm looking through the content or through the lens with that context to try and minimize that, so that the results show for themselves and you're proud of the end work.
So people always love the end result.
I think I have like a 99% track record, and I will fully admit that I can think of 2 people in the past, and both came from Brampton, who acknowledged that the photo itself was great, but they didn't like themselves in it. And you know what? That's one of those hard things as a business owner where I can't take it personally. And I really thought hard and long of, like, do I offer another shoot? But I also kind of know people need to do their own work, and that at the end of the day, there's only so much that we can provide as business owners when it certainly comes to some stuff like that. But yes, I would say I have a very great track record. I have a lot of clients that are on a brand photography subscription. So that means that they don't just come once a year, they come 4 times a year to get some updated content. And to me, again, that's validation that I've built that connection with them. It's not just about photos, it's about the
Story.
It's about seeing them and seeing them for what they are. And I can tell you many times I've been shopping and have taken a picture of an outfit or a pillow and said, oh my gosh, this is you, because I get to know people and know their stories. And when they win, I win, because when you're making money, you're going to come back to me and we all win. And that's really what this is about. So many times I think we're afraid of actually making money because we're taught money's the root of all evil, or, you can't get rich, or you shouldn't be in it for the money. And I agree with that to a point, that we should never be in it for the money. But when you do what you love and do it from an authentic place, the money follows. And it's okay for us, especially as women, to get rich, because we can do good with that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. We can give GoFundMe donations to that puppy from a friend, or give to our food bank, or, get our kids that extra lesson. There's nothing wrong with that. And so that's also one of the narratives that I'm subtly bringing into a lot of my client conversations, because I see it.
Absolutely. So you are showing people that if you follow your heart and you follow your passion, the money will follow.
I think Oprah coined that years ago. And, it's more than a cliche. And I think sometimes what happens as small business owners, and, I've been there many times and continue to be there at times, is that we get stuck in our own heads, especially when you work alone. I don't know how to do this. I can't do this. I have no money to invest in all of this, but it also takes risk and to be rewarded. And that's even what I'm trying to remind myself about this book, is that, nobody's got an extra thousands of dollars in the bank to start things. You have to believe in yourself, align yourself with the right service providers to make sure that you're working with the right people, and it will come.
Of course. And there is a book that I read recently. The title is Who Not How. So oftentimes we ask, how can I do it? And if you don't know how to do it, the question should be, who can help me do it?
Right.
Which is what you did when you didn't have the money. You had the question in your head was, who can help me? Which is what led to
This end result.
GoFundMe, and then.
And I think that's where I definitely know that I want to continue to build my brand from the brand photography and social media side, is I want to be the women's who, because I see them. I see beauty in every client, no matter what size they are. And I will actually share an interesting behind the scenes thing I've seen over time is society's definition of beautiful women. So what I'm referring to is size 2 or 4, whatever that is, you know, the perfect body, perfect skin, yada, yada, yada. Those women tend to actually be more insecure than the woman who is chunky or overweight. Because I think, and this is my belief, because I've always been one of those people that looks at a bag of chips and gains 5 pounds, so I have to work at it every single day, and some days are better than others, is that we actually develop better coping skills throughout our life to learn how to dress nice, or, you know, and also recognize that that's not what this life is about. But it's the women that have kind of, I want to say, be born lucky. I don't know if that's the right phrase. They're the ones that are like kind of the worst with regards to their insecurities. So I think my big message is just embrace who you are, do the best that you can every day, and find the who's in your life of people that are going to remind you of that.
Of course.
And I'm one of them.
Which is why you need to have, especially women, you need to have your girlfriends, because, and the ones who lift you up.
Yes.
Who don't remind you of your insecurities, but they do remind you of who you are and how you are the best person to do what you're doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, this was so wonderful having you and having this conversation.
Thank you.
So if any of our viewers want to find you, where can they find you?
So I'm all over social media.
I know that.
Because really, honestly, I mean, it's people underestimate the power of social media, because where on earth are you finding your ideal customers than in the palm of your hand while they're in their living room? You can't get that necessarily through TV or print ads. So people underestimate the power of good content on social media. So I'm all over social media. Stacey Tarrant Brand Strategist, Say It With Stacey Gifts on Instagram. I also have Facebook pages. And Marley will have her own website. It's marleysincrediblejourney.com, and same with her Instagram and Facebook handles. And I think even a simple Google will pull me up 500 times. So I've been doing this long enough and have mastered the SEO stuff where, you know, you can find me. I can't hide. I always tell my son that as well, is that he can't hide either, because everybody knows who his mom is. And, you know, make sure he's kind, because it's always been important to me.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, okay, it was so wonderful to have you.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for doing this with us. And thank you for being on Proudly Dufferin.
I appreciate you, Priya. Thank you.
You're